Hello and welcome to The Critic, where I criticize anything and everything. As you can see, this is the famous PlayStation 3 controller, also known as the DualShock 3. This controller is way over 10 years old, and let's see if I have anything to criticize about it. Well, let's start off with the build quality. If I add any tension or flex to this controller, you can hear the plastic creaking, but it's not bad at all. This tells me the plastic joints really held up its time. The buttons. For some reason, Sony always, what I've noticed, used a different tactile feedback sounds for each button. For example, the directional pad. If you can listen to the sound it makes, it's almost silent. But if you listen to the action buttons, that over time is what you continuously hear when people are gaming. But if they made this sound, that wouldn't be so much annoying. Same goes for the famous dual analog sticks. These analog sticks are quite high. They're very much raised. If Sony had to just lower them, just slightly, they would have been much better. Over time, your thumb sits so high above the analogs, there would be no reason at all to drop it a bit low. And on top of that, increase the texture above, because over time this texture started fading away on some controllers. So if Sony had to just lower it and add more texture, that would have solved a lot of issues. But my biggest issue with the analog sticks is the sound it makes when gaming. There's no reason for that sound to be there. If Sony just had to add some sort of rubberizing or any sort of sound dampening around the circular area, this would eliminate a lot of this that you'd hear when people game. So, what about the start and select, the buttons that slowly faded away over time because games usually just press X to start? But anyway, I digress. The start and select buttons use the same feedback from the directional pads, as you can hear. Same goes for the PlayStation button. So the only feedback change came from the action buttons. What about the trigger? They carry along the same sound of these. So why Sony went with different use cases for these buttons, we'll never know. But I'll sure see from the DualShock 4 if this carried along. So, what about the back? So if you look, this sticker that contains the information of the controller, the problem I have with this is when you are holding the controller, let me see if I can demonstrate this for you. When you're holding the controller like this, over years, this starts fading away. And for me, anything that fades off a product makes the product look very cheap. If Sony just had to center this a bit more, put it vertically, this will avoid your fingers from touching this area, causing it to fade. So, put this vertically, make all these action buttons silent, carrying over from the silent from here, add dampening sound to this to avoid these sounds, and this would have been a perfect controller. But due to that, I'll give this controller a solid 8 out of 10.